Good afternoon. My name is Timmy Sullivan. I'm a senior at the Burlington High School Help Desk. Unfortunately, Ms. Sheffer cannot be here today. She's out in the field helping teachers. But I'm pleased to announce that I'm here with Dr. Marian Curran, who's the founder of the Digital Citizenship Summit on October 3rd, and Dr. Mike Ribble, who's a published digital citizenship author raising a digital child. Mary Alice, do you want to start us off by talking a little bit about what the DigCit Summit really is and how that came to be?
Sure, I'm really excited to be with both of you, especially since we represent, the three of us right now, the Digital Citizenship Summit on October the 3rd in West Hartford, Connecticut, because Mike Ribble is going to be one of our panelists, and Timmy, you are like our voice, our student voice and presenter at the summit, which makes me really excited because if we're really ever going to have any solutions, it's going to come from students. So the fact that you're going to be leading the way, and then Jen Sheffer is going to also be a presenter, really is exciting. I guess that really the day came about because Mike can probably agree with this. I got tired of digital citizenship being an add-on to the curriculum or the add-on to professional development. So we've carved out a day specific to digital citizenship and really to talk about like tech balance and cyber ethics and what it means to be socially responsible both online and offline. And so we've gathered together speakers, national speakers that are coming from all areas of the country to be a part of this day, and it's an opportunity that all stakeholders can come to the table and be part of this conversation, share their digital voice with us, be part of the digital change.
Absolutely, I completely agree with you. And digital citizenship is such a huge topic right now. Everyone's talking about it, especially you two. We're hearing a lot about it, and it's really popping up, being taught in schools now as an actual subject. So I want to ask you, Mike, why do you think this is such a hot topic right now?
Well, I think it's a combination of a lot of things. It's a lot of the issues that are being talked about, a lot of the cyberbullying still being talked about, but a lot of the things that Mary Alice talked about, all the issues about interaction and how we work together, and that's kind of where I started with digital citizenship. We were looking at this about a dozen years ago, so it's been something that has seen a sort of a long growth pattern. But we're very happy of where it's led to and where we're at today, because it's led us to folks like Mary Alice, to Jen, to Susan Bearden, to all the people that are so important in that conversation. One person that can't make it to the summit that has been a longtime pioneer is Dr. Jason Oler. He's been working on this for probably as long or longer than I have. So, its time has come. It's really getting to the place where people are starting to ask more questions, and I think that's probably why it's led to this summit and where we're at. But there's been a lot of things in this last year. ISTE, of course, has been a big supporter of ours. ISTE being the International Society for Technology and Education, and they're my publishing arm as far as digital citizenship in schools and raising a digital child. They were instrumental in publishing both of those for me. So, they have been very important in this conversation. As I said, all the different people as far as individuals, but we have, Common Sense Media that also has a lot of resources. We've got people like Frank Gallagher with Cable Impacts that work out of Washington, D.C. So they are doing a lot at the federal level trying to work on this idea. So it's really not just a single person or an individual. It's really a conglomeration of people, and this, my third edition of my Digital Citizenship in Schools book that just released this week, we really try to focus on that, is how all the individuals have come together to try to help with this conversation.
And I really feel like the Digital Citizenship Summit, instead of working in silos, like there's a lot of different organizations that are doing fabulous things, a lot of educators but we now are going to all be in the same place at the same time, and we'll have this opportunity to carve out like what digital citizenship is and where it's going in the future. And we'll have a variety of voices, which to me is just really exciting. And I look at who should come. I hear all the time, either districts that, whether they're one-to-one or districts that will say, oh, well, this digital citizenship isn't important to us because, I don't have to teach it because we don't even have technology in our classroom. Well, guess what? We need you. We need you more than districts that are just one-to-one, because just because blocks and bans or access isn't available, the minute that our students walk outside of school, they're connected and wired and networked. So it's actually everybody's responsibility. And I'm just excited that, really, honestly, we're all going to be in the same place at the same time, having this unbelievable conversation.
Absolutely. It's definitely going to be this major think tank where you're going to get a lot of different perspectives. Like you said, we have teachers, parents, educators, students. I'll be there. So there's a lot of different minds and a lot of different voices coming together on this, which I think is super important. And definitely to Mike's point about this being a conglomerate and how he's publishing his third book, this is definitely a process. That digital citizenship isn't just, one solid thing that you can, you put out there, but this is an ongoing process. It's constantly evolving, and we're constantly learning more about it. So I'd like to hear, where you guys think this process really begins.
Mike, we'll let you take it. You take it.
Sure. I think it starts at the home, starts right away. We're seeing a lot of research that is saying that children are coming to our schools already with multiple years of experience with technology. So we really need to start with the parents. And Mary Alice and I are working on a chapter to share sort of that idea, sort of that preschool, into school time, all the way up past university life. So, everything in between and all aspects to it. So we're really starting to work at this lower level and talking about how can we get younger kids to begin to understand. And I'm not talking about the high level, topics. We tend to leave things about law and health and wellness and some of those things sort of into the later years. But we need to start talking about etiquette. We need to start talking about literacy, just understanding the technology. I mean, I think we hand it to, kids, and with those in the one-to-one situations especially, we tend to hand it off, but there's really no direction. It's sort of like, here, kid, because you've grown up in this time, you know what to do with it. And they're not afraid of it. They're not afraid of the technology, but I think they're struggling with, how can I take this to the next level? How can I take this to improving what we're doing? And I grew up and I've had 2 children that have gone through the schools and things. So I mean, I know that the social part is important. So the social media and those kinds of things are very important, but also these tools are terribly powerful, that they can really give an opportunity for kids to grow exponentially. The only thing that I can liken it to is that when the printing press was given to us, I mean, when 450 years ago, and the difference between those days prior to when books had to all be handwritten to the days of mass production of any kind of information, and the explosion, and that's nowhere near what we're talking about today. I mean, the data ability today is almost sort of overwhelming because there's so much of it. There's so much that we touch upon or could touch upon, and I think our students are doing some great things, but I think they could be doing some just phenomenal and starting to address some of the issues that we have in the planet, and I think it could start at a fairly young age, they could start working on these ideas and building on them. And I know they're doing it, but they're doing it in pockets. They're doing it in sort of, with people that are willing to, sacrifice and do like Jen does and like Susan Bearden does, and the others, that they spend that time. But how do we get everybody to do it? And that's where I want to go.
I have to say that's spot on. I mean, we have to be doing this early and often. I'm a mother of a young child. How many times do you go to restaurants and you see young toddlers and even the parents? Everybody's tuned out on their device. Nobody's really engaged in conversation over a meal. I look at this as an opportunity. In the early age, even before school, to talk about the etiquette, but really about those building blocks towards empathy and kindness and how to humanize the person next to you as well as the person across the screen. And I hear from, whether it's in early preschool or kindergarten, they'll say, well, why would digital citizenship be important to me? Our kids don't have devices. Like I said before, the minute they walk out of classrooms, even if they might not have devices in their hands, at home they've got devices, they've got access to it. And so it's everybody's responsibility. And then I even go all the way to high school, and I think even if you're an expert in your content area, this isn't something that's an assembly or, you put a check in the box and, oh, we did that lesson or that unit. This has to be embedded in absolutely everything that we do. And multiple. We've got to have like overlaps, that it's happening with multiple teachers at multiple times. And I love what Burlington's doing right now. I love that you've got Alan Katzman, who's another one of our speakers, coming to the Digital Citizenship Summit. Burlington is committed that, you're going to have ongoing workshops for parents, because parents need to be a critical part of this conversation.
Absolutely. You just led perfectly into my next question is, we talk a lot about digital citizenship for students and how students can employ this in their everyday life, but how does this really apply to the parents as well? Because parents have to model good citizenship for their students, and so how do we communicate this with them as well as their students?
Well, I just know for ticket sales that we've got districts here in Connecticut that are buying blocks of tickets, and they're using it as a team approach. So they're bringing administrators, teachers, students, parents from the PTO, media specialists, coaches. I mean, this is really what we need. I mean, it takes a village. I mean, it takes a village to raise a child. But now with the onset of social media, I mean, we all need to be, we need to bring our digital voices to be part of this change. And so for our parents, this can't happen without what you're modeling at home. So for any parents that are listening to this, live version of our Google Hangout, we need you. And I can tell you, I did a Google Hangout with Judy Arts and her graduate students in Hartford this week. And some were parents with like teenage children, and as I was like pitching the Digital Citizenship Summit, there were like graduate students that were saying, who are educators, but who were saying, I'm going as a parent and I'm bringing my teenage children with me. And that's what we need. It can't be, I mean, this has to be an ongoing conversation with parents and their teens and their children.
Well, I agree 100%. When I was doing my dissertation work, which was around digital citizenship, I heard from a lot of those crossover, the parents who were educators, and they would say, yeah, I don't understand it in school, but I really don't understand how to help my teenage child, and how to I came up through the time when we had desktops, and when we had those, the rule was, you needed to have it in a common space. Well, with mobile devices, it becomes so quickly that everybody can go into a different part of the house and have their own device and begin to work on things. And when I was in Iowa a couple of years ago, I had an educator that said he had a parent that came to him and said, how do I get my kid to do his homework, because he's in his room for 3 hours and he's supposed to be doing his homework, and he comes and then I look at his grades and he's got zeros on all these things. But you know, he's supposedly working on things for hours every single night. Well, you know, that's the hard part about parenting. You know, sometimes we make, you know, decisions, we have discussions, we do those things to help our kids, because you know we're not necessarily, you know, I can't speak for every parent, but we're not doing it to be punitive, but we've got to do things to help and help them understand. And I know things like, you know, alarm clocks in cell phones seems like a really, really good idea, because it's one less thing that you have to buy. You don't have to buy a clock radio or whatever it was. But by having that cell phone in the room when they're sleeping, it's just hard, and I can't imagine as a student, and Tim, maybe you can you know, share with everybody, but you know, you want to be involved, you want to know what people are doing, you want, you know, I mean, my kids shared that with me, that you know, they wanted to be in the know, they wanted to see and understand what was going on. And when that thing pings, you know, when that cell phone pings, or whatever your tone or whatever you've got, you want to pick it up. You want to see, and you know, you want to be in the conversation. So you're texting, or you know, chatting, or Snapchat, or whatever it might be, to stay connected. And you know, there's been a lot of conversations about, you know, kids and, you know, narcissism. I don't think it's a narcissistic thing. I think it's, I want to be recognized that I'm out there, that I'm,
like that,
you know, I'm a person.
I matter. Yeah.
Exactly.
So I have to say, you know, I'll ask graduate students, adults all the time, who here sleeps with their phone? And all these hands go up. Like, Timmy, with your, I mean, do you sleep with your phone next to your bed?
I do.
Okay. Well, I always say go back and get an alarm clock, because you know, I want you to rejoin the human race. So when you wake up in the morning, I want you to say hello to a human. When you go to bed, the last thing, the first thing, the last thing, you know, that you say hello and good night to somebody, not a device. And so best thing that we could model really is to have devices all, like, as parents, down in a docking station. And even the parents, because I'll ask my grad students, like I said, and they'll all raise their hands, they all sleep with their devices. So I don't want to model that for my son. I want him to know that, like, the first, like, what's the most important to me is that face-to-face interactions. So I know that one of our speakers is Janelle Burley Hoffman, who is the author of I Rules. She'll be one of our speakers at the summit, and it's like contracts for parents, like not just a contract with your child or your teen, but contracts as a family. So like last night, I got to go out to dinner with my family. Everybody left their devices at home, so that when we got to be present, we're like totally present. The other one, I happen to love the Boston Red Sox. I could be at Fenway Park, and you see everybody, in fact, where's my device? You see everybody watching something through their device. Leave your device at home. Be like present. You know, or you can go to events at school, and all the parents are like capturing their child, you know, at graduation or the dance recital or whatever it might be, and they've missed the moment. So I don't know. Those are all things about tech balance that we'll get to talk about. But I mean, half of me makes me sound like I'm preaching. But Timmy, what do you think? Is there like any legitimacy to this from a student perspective?
It's definitely an interesting argument, because, you know, on the one side, I do feel a disconnect between myself and my peers when we do end up getting around and everyone seems to be communicating through their phone, or a few of us, or maybe all of us, aren't really entirely engaged in each other. We're all just social without being social. I think that's why Starbucks was created, or internet Wi-Fi cafe stuff, so that people can go out but not really go out. But you also want to be connected. If you aren't connecting with people via Twitter or Instagram or Snapchat, you feel as though you're being left out from the conversation. So growing up in this age, it's pretty difficult finding the balance between the two.
How many concerts have you gone to and you've been so, like, you've watched it through your device?
Personally, well, actually, okay. I just went to the U2 concert this summer when they were touring, and I personally did not watch it through my device. Which
I love that.
but I could not even tell you all around me, all the people who were using like streaming applications to stream it to people back home, and they were just watching it through their phones or
Which
taking
I have
video.
to say is amazing. So say I can't go to YouTube, I can get on Periscope and I can feel like I'm there. That's amazing. That's amazing. So it's like a balancing act, I guess.
Absolutely. It's definitely an amazing application in the sense where there were people tuning in and I could see the person in front of me stream just going up and up like, can you turn a little bit to the left? Like, Bono's walking that way. And so that was definitely exciting, but I also think you lose people at the physical concert as well. Well, I'd like to thank you guys for such an interesting conversation. We've gotten a lot out about digital citizenship and who it's really for. Do you want to just give a last rundown about the conference? When is it, where is it, and how can people attend?
Okay, so the conference, our summit is going to be Saturday, October the 3rd. In West Hartford, Connecticut. If you're not from the New England area, it's a beautiful time to come and visit. Can you attest to that, Timmy? Just
yes, absolutely beautiful.
Fabulous time to come.
Leaves are changing.
Yeah, leaves are changing.
There better be apple fritters. That's all.
Right. And all those apple cider donuts and apple cider. It's a great time. So it's in West Hartford, Connecticut, at the University of St. Joseph, our campus. At 1678 Asylum Avenue. For all information, really, if you go to digcitsummit.com or you go to our hashtag DigCitSummit, it's DIGCIT Summit, either .com or with the hashtag. You can register right online. I can tell you registration is $50 unless you're a student. If anybody's bringing a student, it's $15. And like I said, there are districts that are buying blocks of tickets to come as a team. And we're really looking forward to having as many voices part of that day. Registration includes a continental breakfast, the registration, and our lunch. And I can tell you, on our campus on Saturdays is brunch, and it's all you can eat. So that's pretty exciting. And then we're going to have a networking reception in West Hartford Center after our event. So registration and networking in the morning for continental breakfast starts at 7:30. Our panel starts by 9, and then our day ends by 4, and then the networking session in West Hartford Center starting at 4:30. Have I missed anything, Mike?
Nope, spot on.
All right.
That sounds amazing, especially the breakfast and brunch. It's really got me hooked there. Thank you guys again for being our first guests on our new season of Help Desk Live. And thank you to all of our viewers today for tuning into this. You can definitely catch up with us on the next few episodes that we'll have in the upcoming weeks.
All right, guess what? I'm really excited to see both of you. Saturday, October the 3rd.
Saturday, October 3rd. See you there.
All right, perfect. Thank you.